There's an old Buddhist saying that goes as follows: only a fool tells a rock to stop being a rock. And what this saying refers to is the idea that if we're walking along, not paying attention, and we trip over a stone, well, it'd be silly for us to get up and yell at it, give the rock a verbal lashing for causing us to trip. It would be even more strange and foolish for us to lash out, maybe kick the rock with our foot in order to teach it a lesson. This would be strange because, one, any rock that's large enough to cause us to trip, it's probably fairly hard and we're likely to injure ourselves by kicking it. Even if we don't injure ourselves, the rock is a rock. It doesn't feel anything. It's not going to change its nature just because we kicked it. It will keep doing what it's been doing since time immemorial. The only thing that's changed is that we've worked ourselves up into a lather. As Buddhists, there's really only two options if we trip over a rock. We can take the path of wisdom, making sure that we keep an eye out from that moment forward to ensure we don't trip over that stone or any others that might be on our path. And if we're truly ambitious, we can take the path of compassion as well, moving that rock off the path so no one else trips over it after us. We can avoid the problem, or we can do other things to ensure other people don't run into the same problem. But trying to change the nature of the rock simply causes more suffering. Now, what I find is that this saying is true when it comes to inanimate objects, but it's also true of sentient beings, especially people. As Buddhists, oftentimes we fall into the trap of taking on the world's suffering as our own, thinking that we personally have the responsibility to shape and manipulate and mold the people around us so that they make better decisions, so that they stop causing harm for themselves or others. Sometimes we ourselves are the victims of abuse, be it physical or mental or emotional, and we think that it's our job as spiritual practitioners to find the right words or the right action that will cause that individual to change their behavior so that they stop causing us harm. But this, frankly, is a fool's errand. It's no different than telling a rock that's tripped us that it shouldn't be a rock. Now, this is a bit strange because people obviously are not inanimate objects. They have the ability to change. If this weren't true, then we wouldn't be able to realize enlightenment. However, what is the first thing one must do if they want to walk the Buddhist path? The answer is they have to make the choice to walk the Buddhist path. We as human beings have to make the choice to sit on the cushion, to bow in front of our altars, to study sutras, to light incense in order to move along the path of enlightenment. Similarly, if someone is causing harm either to ourselves, to themselves, or to others, they alone are able to make the choice to change their behavior, to change their essence, so to speak. Only they can make the choice to stop being a rock. And if we foolishly believe that it's our job or responsibility to make them make that choice, then all we do is cause suffering for ourselves and, frankly, sometimes for them. Now, there are things we can do to influence their behavior. We can try and set a good example. We can be kind and compassionate in our actions and our words towards them. But we must do it with the understanding that we cannot fix them. We can't change their behavior. Only they can do that. And if their negative behavior is directed towards us, we must also remember that we have a responsibility as Buddhists to show compassion not just to the outside world, but also to ourselves. And sometimes showing ourselves compassion means that we remove ourselves from situations where we're being harmed. So, if we find ourselves dealing with a person who is a rock, so to speak, that hurts us, that hurts others, that hurts themselves, again, we can set a good example. We can speak to them with loving, kind words. We can engage in right action. But we must never fall into the trap of thinking that we can fix them or mold them or make them act differently. To do so is no different than to try to kick a rock in order to get it to stop tripping us on the path. It's much better to just walk a different path. Amitabha.